See what I got here. All right, cool. You're alive. Enjoy that. Make sure I have enough. You can move that chair for me out the way. Just block my entire. Yeah, do something about that. I did find this fancy little tripod camera thing. Don't know how this is going to work out. So I know it's not a normal time for everybody to see me going live. If you're following the page or you're on one of the social medias that are running right now, I think is this along with YouTuber. They're running simultaneously. I have found over the weekend, I helped some people move and do some cleanup work. And when I did, I fortunately found a few extra cables that I needed for my own self. Please enjoy the ET while you're watching the podcast. Anyhow, so I tried it out. I'm able to use the screen up top. I know that the camera angle isn't correct, and it's something that I'm working on. I did. It's just piece by piece, and I'm kind of teaching myself as I go so that I can get this done and handled exactly the way I want to. So, anyhow, and so we're doing something different all year long. Anybody who's followed along with the podcast has known that I've been kind of trying to continually find my way to where God, I feel, and believe that He wants me to be and what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. Well, we could talk about all those people all day long too. More importantly, I think though, for me, it's just following through with every day. So part of the schedule that I'm setting for myself for the new year is to try to get a podcast up that's about 15 to, it could be 15 to 30 minutes long, and we're going to try to find a standard time to do that. But it's typically the same time that I would be pre-game, pre-show, backstage with Mo or Jesus or anybody else who's sitting in on a podcast, and we kind of just sit around for 15 to 30 minutes, and we talk about everything, and we kind of just gear up for where we're headed to. So I figured it'd be easier if I just come on, give everybody a chance to, if you've watched it before, if you just don't want to be interactive for just a minute, but an opportunity to have something to discuss every day. And because it's in my, like I said, in my things that I'm going to be doing for the next year. I know we've been running the podcast for the better part of the year. I can't remember exactly when we started, but I think it was around January, I guess, that it came up. And then when I finally decided that we were going to do it, or me and Jesus had gotten together and got with Ray, we were talking about, maybe a couple of weeks there, but it was a really quick thing. So at this point we have, we've almost put the entire year behind us. The last couple of episodes, starting with what happened at Thanksgiving, was really major. I know it didn't get posted for everybody to see, but I do have the video, and at some point in time I'll sit down, get the time, figure out how to say that or archive it, or maybe we'll hold on to it for the next year and see where we're at from last year to this year. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to get used to doing something different and being involved in it every day. And I know it's difficult for most people because one of the things we talk about a lot on the show and what we've done is, Ray, we talk about how every day is Monday. Don't wait till tomorrow to do something. Don't put off till tomorrow to do something you should do today. Let alone those are the things that we just kind of agree to. And it's to get to the point where that you should be doing things that you've been putting off for way too long, and you just finally got to get up and do it. I think for right now, one of the things that I know always in going through businesses, it's a matter of like juggling balls or, keeping what do you do this time? What do you do the next time? It's always a high risk because it's not like I'm in here selling hamburgers. Hamburgers ain't what it is. It's more like a walk-in restaurant. You can get anything you want to eat, but you have to be willing to pay for it, and you have to be willing to wait for it. I think that's how we try to treat the Fab Shop. Like I try to model everything I'm doing at the shop to be, conductive or conducive to what other people would need or want. And we're trying to do the same thing with the podcast. I say trying to get to where we have some serious, viewer interaction. And if we don't start somewhere, then it never happens. The cool thing is for me, typically when I do a podcast, what started off with being just me and Ray and Jesus, ended up has become something more like I wanted, and we're able to do it remotely. I don't know where Ray's at, but I know if he was able to be on, he would be. And same thing with Jesus, but I didn't really tell him about tonight. I just sprung it on him. I'm fortunate enough, though, to have a few people here with me, so they kind of help give me somebody to talk to, so I don't feel so just dumb and alone and all by myself. Anyhow, so it's the small things like that that help you, stay encouraged. It's like if you're going to go to the gym, if you're not really hardcore and can't go to the home gym, one of the things I would say is just go to a gym where you feel encouraged, and at least if there's people there, you'll get your butt up and do something. I'd say the same is true with anything you'd want to do, whether it be golf lessons or maybe, reading the Bible and doing Bible studies. Like, get around people who are at least doing things that you want to do, and try that for the next year and see how it goes for you. Like, I think this week, as we prepare to go into, as we come off of Christmas, right? Some cool stuff happened in Christmas that I'll talk about on Wednesday. But as we come off of the holiday, it's really weird to be on a Monday that's between the holidays. And what I can say is that every year for the past 9 years I've owned a business. Years prior to that, I spent every holiday in a downturn where I had to work my butt off. We had a certain amount of time to get it done, and you had to meet deadlines. And that's just what, had to be done because production had to be met. On the flip side of it is owning a business and having things that have to be done and met by the end of the year between the holidays. I don't think that this year is much more of a rush for me than it normally would be, because it's kind of the norm for the holidays. Does that make sense? Like, even for 9 years, I've always spent the holidays trying to make up, do something, wrap things up, take care of it. And, unfortunately I fell victim to my own monster of business this year. And we're just now finishing up where we can at the end of the year. However, this is probably the most uplifting point that I've ever been in 9 years in owning a business, or actually trying to be with keeping up with the podcast or doing things that I said I'd like to do. If you know me, I'm a person who's got a lot of ideas all the time. The issue with that is that I have so many ideas, I feel like I don't have enough time to complete them all. So in the upcoming year, I'm deciding to take a little bit of time every day and dedicate it to, if you just practice, if like a little kid, they get up and take steps every day. Eventually, those little steps over time lead up to something greater, and they got better and faster, and they learn quicker. I know that for me, I have to be interactive in order to learn whatever I'm doing. So, in doing so, like I said, here's the podcast. We're going to do, like I said, 15 to 30 minute, just to get you prepped up. And as we get headed into the holiday and a time of starting over, a lot of people are looking towards like New Year's resolutions. Christmas was just over. You have the ups and downs. You've been around the in-laws, the ex-in-laws you had to deal with, new relationships or old relationships. Everybody's got something to say about your life, but the one thing that seems it doesn't change is that when you walk away from the situations, nobody really wants to go take care of that life either. But those who do and do participate in your life, because the holidays are a lot more pleasant when you're around them. Those are the people that make being around the people that make you uneasy, much better. And it's nice to have good friends and people around myself. And I hope that everybody after the past years find themselves in the same kind of situation, to where you're not spending your time like a lot of people did going through COVID. You really didn't know what the heck was going to happen for a minute. You didn't know if you're going to see your loved ones, not see your loved ones. Are we really dying? We're not going to die. Is it, is it conspiracy? Is it not conspiracy? Is it World War III? You know what I mean? Is it Armageddon? Like, everybody sat around, was like, what the heck? Here we are finishing out a full year after it. A lot of the world around us is still kind of crappy, but the people I know, who I would say are the believing group of the entire world, our worlds aren't crashed down. They're not being crushed. I'd say right now, if you're in a successful position, or at least you're not without, then I'd say that's where God's provision's been on your life. And I know, looking back in the 9 years of having the business, I couldn't have imagined that we'd have went through 2020 and you'd have told me that I was going to leave the little shop that I'd struggled and fought my butt off to try to grow inside, would end up being the place that I love and cherish so much today. Like, this has just been the most amazing year of my life, hands down. And no matter how many attempts or tries I might have had at making mistakes or messing it up or trying to do it right or trying to out God or trying to out choose or out business or outwork or do anything else I have. At the end of the day, I'd say I'm pretty happy with the progress so far, and I've learned a lot over the past year having a much bigger shop. It's a lot more headaches. It's a lot more time consuming than what it was before. But at the same time, I love the fact that we have such a huge outreach to people who are starting to show up at the shop because they heard about it through somebody else. They saw it on the internet. There you go. What's up, buddy? Let me get you on there. Let me add you to the conversation. It's good to see you. There you go. Are you there? You there, buddy? Let me see if my volume's up. You good? Can you hear me? Okay. I'm going outside. All right, there we go. What's going on, buddy?
What's happening? Everything was connected to my earbuds and I didn't know it. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good, bro. I'm doing pretty good. It's I'll tell you what, the Monday between the holidays, you've worked some outages, you know what I'm talking about. When everything else shuts down and everybody else goes home and that machine's got to stay running, I've been the guy behind the tools that keeps that machine running.
Yes, sir.
And this coming in, we're finishing up this ice build, right? So this whole YouTube thing that we're going through, I come in today. We wrapped up that red GT that's in here, or wrapped up that roll cage.
Right.
It's good and tight, but I can tell you this much, and I'm just going to be fair about it. Anybody who brings me a pre-bent, pre-made cage next time, it's minimal double price to put one together.
That much hell, huh?
No, it's not that it's like that. It's just the fact that when it's done, it's so displeasing for me to look at that if you expect for my name to be on the fabrication of it, you're going to have to pay me twice. Like, you're going to have to ask me to take an L on it because this stuff is just not. This was the last one. You know, you get to a spot in your life where you say, you know what, enough's enough. And for me as a shop owner, as far as cages are concerned, that was it.
Right.
Howbeit, after everybody's been in here, and it is a kind of a nasty pre-bent, pre-made cage, any of the guys that work in my shop at this point have the capability of taking that, assembling it, and putting it in a vehicle. They might not be able to weld it, but at least we can get the fit up done. You know, and a few of them could actually weld one of them out. Hey there, bro. You froze.
Yeah. Yeah, I see that.
Yeah. Anyhow, so yeah, we're on that. We added the roof to the ice build today. Started adding the hood. Finally, kind of settled in on the design for the hood. I'm trying. It's such a difficult position for me to do as a car builder. And like I said, it's documented, but there's a story behind, you know, even what people are seeing, that the conversations that we have. And I'm like, man, I'm trying my best to do an engineering job, fabrication weld work, do some teaching, mix that in, you know, with everything else. You're good, bro. And while I'm in the middle of that, trying to run a shop, you know, do the rest of it, be participative as a father, and you know, you just start adding all the crap up around it, and it's like, man, I really hope that what I've done up to this point, once it's the foundation work, you know what I'm saying? Like it's everything that put it together. And I'm the guy who they had an idea, and we didn't even. It wasn't even a sketch on paper until 2-3 months later. Like the whole entire time I've been building this thing and manipulating it and thinking about, you know, am I going to move the metal this way? Is it going to be shaped like this? And then, you know, if I was the ice sculptor, like how would I want to lay that base down? You know, it's like not just it's more than just my stuff, because it's what I do for him. That when they're done, that finished outline, that finished layout for the shop, because I don't mind the fact that we built it for the kid. I'm glad somebody paid me to build a decent vehicle. I'm stoked that the thing belongs to me, because when it's done, that's what the contract says. Like, I
Right.
built it for you. You rent it from me. You take care of it. You break it. You buy it. It's you ride at your own risk. There's no guarantees in this thing, but I can tell you that what they're getting is probably way more exciting than most people will really ever understand once he gets inside.
Oh, I'm
Like,
sure.
and that's the one thing, is like, as a car builder, that's what I love. The crazy side of it is while I'm doing something I love to do, I've got two other people asking me to have something similar built. Like, well, technically, I guess it makes it three now. One guy has two customers who want to do something like that, because it's I mean, look at the way the world is going, bro. Like, I'm sorry, but if I'm keeping old Johnny Cash out there and I'm coming down the road, and you know what I'm saying, like, I'm not here for problems. Like, anything that vehicle hits, it was made to go through long before I decided I was going to hit it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
I've done calculated the cost of smashing whatever I'm going through, but it's cool to have and to be a part of something like this. It looks like it's going to grow and be something so much greater. It's great for
Right.
the shop. It's been great publicity. It's cool to have people come in and they're like, well, what do you guys do here? Or I get like a referral from the church or from somebody's friend, and they're like, hey, call my buddy Chucky. And they show up here and they're like, well, this wasn't what I was expecting. I guess that people just expect to show up with some garage with somebody covered in grease, trying to figure out how much of his greasy hands he can keep on their green. And
Right.
for me, I'm like, bro, I'm the most blessed person I know. I talked to a guy the other day who's, I would say he's somebody who has a very humble approach and lifestyle based on what his actual financial ability is for himself. Like, I love that this guy's so humble. And see somebody like that who can do so much more, and not know who they were. And I'm like, man, for me, bro, my life it's not about the income. It's not the income. It's the life.
Right.
Like, the money is just a byproduct. Like, let me say something. When I close my eyes and go to bed, the only thing money does for me is make me feel a little bit better that I got something I can wake up and spend tomorrow.
Right.
And you and I can both know, if you at your lowest possible spot, and you had, like, say, direct deposit, and you know what I'm saying, the Shan hit the fan that week financially for you. Is that fair to say? So I'm not cussing too much openly.
Oh yeah.
But next thing you know, you're negative. You got a deposit coming in a few days. So you have faith in a company who's going to send you money for a check for work you've done, right? Like, that's always the upside to that. So, like, no matter how low you ever get, you still going to have it. At some point in time, you go to bed and you've already lived through every worst day you've ever had. And we've all had some bad days. We've had some heartaches. We've lost some people. People have died. You've been through everything else. And in a year, what I stop and question everybody around me is, and what I like to put out for my shop is, hey, man, I've lived a life for an entire year at this point, or right close to it. I'm at Jesus found me,
Yeah.
and he loved me just the way I was.
Yes, sir. And he's also guided your hands.
And I'm fortunate, because along the way, I end up with good friends that are sitting here, good people, good customers turn, clients turn friends. Like, I talk to you quite often. I know, you're somebody I know that's going to give me feedback on my show every week. Like, you're a friend and a person I know that's going to hear it. And what I like about that is the group of people I have around me, which is about a dozen people who actually listen to what I say, hey, man, you go public with this, there's going to be a lot more people who are going to come follow it.
Yeah.
And for me, that was always a very scary thing to stand on the edge of, to feel like, I know God called me into ministry. Ooh, I look at myself and don't feel worthy of the call. But I look at my life and say that the call on my life outblesses my choices and decisions every time, because it just continues to go forward. And when in my uneasy spots where I'm down low, I feel like God is steps in and says, I'm not done with you, bro. Like, I got something else for you. For 43 years of my life, whatever the most part, I kind of just took it on. I knew God's got me, so I didn't, what I'm saying? Like, I didn't really care. Like, I took it as nothing. Like, do what you want to me, man. God got me. You can throw me in the lion's den, stand me up. You can set me on fire. I got friends that say, you walk around a fire. Yeah, I walk around a ffire. But what I didn't realize for 43 years is God never asked me to walk through fire in the way that I was walking through it. He didn't want me to walk through fire. He wanted to fill me with fire. It's two different things. Right. The heat from the outside, I knew that I could stand around and take, but with that kind of same kind of pressure and fire on the inside of me was something so much different. Right. Shit, man. I'm like, okay, so give me 10 minutes, right? So let me give you a small Christmas gift of what's going to come for this week. I've been playing, practicing. I had kind of a crazy mixed up holiday, but I still had a holiday at least. And I don't know that I've ever had a holiday that didn't have some sort of drama or things in it too. You know what I mean? Like no matter how much it goes, like you always end up in a spot. That's why we call them the holidays. Like we labeled that every year as a season. Like, what are you gonna do this season? Like, I don't know, man. We're around people I don't like, deal with things, right? But now that we're older, what have you been through in your life, right? You've been through divorce, separation, custody battles, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you might have screwed your own life up and spent some time in jail. You didn't screw your life up, you know, like, or maybe you just got accused. You're in the wrong place at the right time. Like, however it's happened, you know, you've gone through some things. We all have, right? So I'm out in the parking lot parking cars. Listen, you've been around me. You know how I am, even off camera, right? They got me out in the parking lot. They got music going on just loud enough. I'm feeling good. I'm out there. I'm directing traffic. I'm telling people, you know, which way to go. I'm waking them up. I'm thanking Jesus for them. I'm praying for them, talking to them the whole way in the parking lot. Like, I love being in the parking lot, seeing every person. But I'm going to tell you this much. When I was a plant manager, I knew every person in the plant when they come in that day because I personally greeted them myself. I made sure I was personal and interactive with everybody who came in. And I can tell you that back when I was working in the plants, I knew who was mad at their husband, their wife, who was cheating, who wasn't cheating, who might be pregnant by somebody else, whose kid might be pregnant, who mad at their kid, who's got a drug problem, who might have been drunk, who might have been high, who might have done this, who may be selling drugs. Like, whatever they doing, I knew it. I realized while parking cars that when people drive into the parking lot, God kind of just helped me get that gift and ability to be able to look at people and say, you know what, I know who's having a hard time today. I know who showed up today and they've been fighting with the wife. You can listen from the minute you wave at them and they look up, don't look up. They looking left, looking right. They're on the phone, man. You get to see their spirit as they coming in to have an interaction with Jesus. That's what I feel. That's what I get to experience. That's what I love about it. So I'm out there parking cars, having a good time. Guy pulls up in his Dodge. Joey. I'm going to say his name, Joey, because I like Joey. Joey pulls up in his big Dodge truck. And how tall are you, Chad?
6 foot.
What are you walking around? 225, 230?
215 to 220.
Yeah. You're still a big boy. Mr. Joey's probably got an inch or two on you and equally filled out. He's relative. I mean, right. This boy's a boy. And he's younger. He's a younger man. Tattoos. Seemed a little distraught in his truck. I had to get him to pull up a little bit. Got to talk to him. You know, I was like, hey, man, if I can get you to just pull like 4 more feet, man, I might be able to fit a little smaller car behind that truck. And in the midst of this, I got this grandma who comes in not paying attention. And they're like, part 2, part 3. And I'm like, all right, y'all, listen, when we get to this spot, we're going to start filling them out that way. Like, I think we need to split these lots in like a folded rotation. There's a better way to do this. Grandma goes left. Young kids are coming in. They're like, I'm like, stop. Hey, Joey, can you move up 4 feet? Jesus bless you. This is the moment I'm having while this is going on, right? I'm still smiling, having a good time. I park all the rest of the cars. Maggie shows up in traditional Latina dressing.
Yes, sir.
I thought I was ready for it, but not exactly 100% prepared to. If I had abs, I'd wear tighter shirts. You know what I mean? Like, that's all I'm going to say. Like, if I look better, I would probably be guilty too. We walk up to the front row of the church, bro. mid-service. Sit down in the front row. Sit down next to Joey. The minute I turned the corner and locked eyes on him and saw him standing there, everything that I had worried about in my life left me. And for the next 35 to 40 minutes, I sat next to a man who's on the front row at a church at a Christmas thing with no family, picking his cell phone up, texting whoever he's trying to make amends with, crying his eyes out. And every time they'd say something about how Jesus loves you or how he was born, I mean, the guy, yeah, at this point, I'm like, I don't know what you're here looking for, bro, but you in the only place I can think of when I've been as broken as you are. And my life might have had a lot of broken spots where I got the pieces put back together, like your dad picked you up on your tricycle, put you back together, but you bent the wheel and it's still kind of wobbly, but you decided to go try to jump that ramp again. You know what I'm saying? Like he was just trying to tell you to hold on long enough, let him fix the problem, but you got too far ahead of yourself and you want to go out and jump the ramp again. Now you got 2 bent wheels. And then he says, you know what? Why don't you ride them bent wheels till I can afford to buy you something nicer because you ain't ready to listen to me yet. And I'm sitting there with the man, and finally the church gets over, and well, even better than that, he got up to leave, and I'm like, I can't let this guy leave without talking to him. Like, I got a business card, Chad. You know me. I got an opportunity to say something to somebody who's hurting, bro, and I gotta get it out. I don't even know how I was even carrying around because I could feel this guy's pain. And he went outside. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go check the cones. I'm just going to make sure the parking lot's ready for people to leave. I usually don't get up for this spot, but I'm going to get up and go check because this gives me an opportunity to make sure that I don't miss the chance to go talk to this guy and say, hey, man, I don't know what you need, but I think you came in here looking for Jesus. I'd like to help you find him.
You did good.
Because I don't want you. I know where you're at, and I don't want to be the kind of person to let somebody else walk away when they're getting crushed. And not be the hand and the person between them and what's crushing them, even if they need to let it out on you and crush you back for a second. Right? You got a friend, you ever been there for somebody? Like, you got a real close friend? You got a real close friend. You say, hey, man, call me when shit hits the fan. And your close friend calls you, you drop everything. I got a few of those. I know a few people like that I wake up for at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I might not talk to them all the time, but if you need me, they'll attest for it. You call me, I'll answer that phone.
Right.
But that's to do it for somebody that you know. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's what I was dealing with. Is that this guy ain't got, I'm walking by him and it's so heavy. Like, I know he ain't got anybody. And whatever's on the other end of that phone ain't helping it because every time he opens it, it just crushes his spirit a little further.
Right.
Anyhow, I leave. He comes back in. I come back in. I sit down. Church gets over. And I turn around and ask him as we're leaving. I seen him. They do a little thing at the end of the church, and they say, all heads bowed. Typical church thing. Don't be ashamed that you need Jesus right this second. But please, let's be nice about it. Let's have some respect for those who are if they just need to be enough for them to slip a finger up. Can we find out who they are because we need to hear the cry of the one that needs help? Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
And so I've heard of all these stories. Like, I go to this church and you hear these stories where the guy, somebody says hello or somebody invites somebody or they meet somebody or whatever they do, right? But for me on Christmas Day was to be the guy who got to look at somebody else and say, man, I don't know what got you here, but if I told you my story and what God's done in 365 days since I looked and felt the exact the way you do right now, I don't know if you're going to believe it, but I need you to come witness it. And I prayed with him. I called for the church pastor. Our church pastor, he's a big gentleman too, big old boy. So I'm standing there with these two, Eiffel Tower of men, and he's just talking about what's going on in his life. And I was like, man, I've been there, bro. Like, I knew, like, he didn't have to tell me, I felt it. But then when he started talking about it and speaking about it, and then the church pastor turns around and he looks at me and he goes, I'm going to tell you this much. He said, you walked in here tonight looking for Jesus. and he said, you sat down in a chair, and God put Chucky next to you. He said, if he was ever asking if he was in the right spot, my friend, today's the day that I can say, yes, God brought you here for a purpose. He said, you follow up, stay in with me. I said, he's here for a few days, man. It was cool to have an outreach to get to talk to somebody else to see just that. Listen, you've been somewhere before, Chad. I'm gonna get off here in a second. You know, you and I, like, we've been there before, right? Maybe you were out on a rig, you were on an outage, you're going through something. And
Yes,
you're
sir.
separated, man. You separated from everything else around you. I saw this thing today. So there's like 3 ways to really get God to speak to you. 1, get in the shower. Turn everything
First
else
and
off.
foremost,
Get in the shower.
you
Wash
got to
off.
wash the negative off.
There you go. That's crazy. But you think about it, David, when he got up, he washed. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, I don't remember what the other 2 said, but I remember the one was washing. The next one was like getting in. Doing chores, like, get up and start cleaning. Get up and start cleaning. It's crazy, but I sat there and thought about it for a second. How many times in my life I felt like I needed something to change or break? Just get up and clean. And normally what people say, well, they're nesting and they're doing this, like a mother, she would nest. She's preparing herself for something. And that's what's cool. It's like once you get up and start cleaning, you start preparing yourself for something new. You can't put on a new garment until you take the old one off and get a shower. You know?
Right.
And then
Yes,
you
sir.
take the other one, you can be in your quiet prayer time, in worship, right? But not so much that you sing out loud, but just listen to the words and sing them on the inside, right? Let it digest, to the inside of you, not so much on the outside, but where you focus it to, you can feel it. And I don't know who just came online, but thank you for that, Sister 19 LOL online. We probably got hacked. I wouldn't imagine it.
Maybe he needs to hear.
Yeah, everybody, right? There's no
Right.
none without. Anyway, really cool, man. Because I was still walking around, kind of feeling beat down, like I still wasn't enough. Like I'm not accomplishing enough of what I feel like God's called me to do. But at the same time, I'm like, I sat down and the other day I felt like the Spirit spoke to me and said, he was like, Charles, it took me, it still took me 6 days, and I had to rest on the 7th. And you're not making it, son.
Very true.
You just
got to take time to rest.
Right. You're just living through something. Like, what are you so worried about?
Right.
And I think that kind of hit me different, because it's like I've had a lot of worries and concerns in my life, and owning a business, man, it's with its ups and downs and things happen. But I've never had a year like this before. Like I've never had this before. This is been, I'm looking forward to next year. Like I said, this truck's about done. We know what's going to happen when that truck drops. Like it's already going to be way more than I could possibly handle to start with. And in the midst of it, I have just not my shop, but I have my personal life. I have the ministry that I'm working in. I got, still got to run the school and other stuff.
You're busy. You're a busy man.
No, you can't listen. I figure if you can't get everything done all at once, right? But you can get a lot of things done at a little piece at a time. So that's what 2022 for me is going to be, taking a little piece at a time of everything, kind of like we did today. Hoping I can find, say interactive. I'd rather, hey man, what day somebody want to pop up, and that way I know people are on. But I sent the link out to about 3-4 people, maybe 5 overall, to get on today. So man, I'm glad you got a chance to get on.
Well, I'm glad I got to talk to you for a minute.
Yeah, how's everything over there? Good. We got good reports.
It's getting better. You need some free labor Friday?
Yeah, and New Year's Eve we have the whole thing from like New Year's Eve from like 2 p.m. to midnight, bro. Like
I was gonna ask you if you're still if that was still planned.
Man, listen, if nobody else shows up, if it's a party of one, it ain't gonna be a pity party. I'll tell you that much.
Right.
That's how I look at it. I went to my cousin's over the other day. I grabbed an old barbecue pit, so I gotta fix this smoker. I got a piece I gotta replace in it, but I'm gonna clean it up. Throw some fresh paint on it, burn it in once, throw some fajitas on it, maybe do some ribs. I used to do a lot of cooking a couple years back when I had a house. Prior to having everything I have now, I think it was a sacrifice was losing my house so I could have a shop. But man, we used to throw we collectively were really bad about throwing parties, and meat cost was usually around $500, if not
Right.
more. And that's a house party. Like it was just a house party with us. And sometimes I throw a couple $1,000s away at just having 15 or 20 people over.
Right. Quick.
I did live a few times, but it'd be nice to, like I said, it's just I haven't had a chance to actually cook and have everything done. I think Keenan should be here, be able to help out, and I gotta get with Ray. But yeah, we're gonna have, like I said, full day thing. Hoping to have a lot of people stop by. Hoping that people are just bored and won't have nothing to do. Maybe want to stop in and see what's going on. The ice wagon. My cousin should be here tuning it. So while people are here for the car show, we should actually. I don't know if I have the drive shaft, but fingers crossed, double fingers crossed. We pull off our outage properly. I'll have a running vehicle sitting outside for people to take a look at. So if we can just get in, start up and run it, and throw some flames out the sides just to be silly for a second, that'd be cool. But
that'd be neat.
Yeah, rain or shine, doesn't matter. I'll be in here at the shop. I got nothing else to do. The day I took it, I told God he could have the shop anyway, so I might as well continue up that path. It ain't failed me yet.
Right.
So
yeah, hasn't failed you yet. Keep doing what you're doing.
All right, just keep working. Keep working while you're in the wait. Keep pushing. Just because nothing else is going on don't mean something can't get done.
Right.
Most definitely. And you know what? I got in a couple of weeks, I'll be taking that trip to deliver some stuff. So I should be picking up the rest of your goodies. We should be looking towards an assembly. Hopefully, maybe March. By then we'll be looking at. Yeah. If nothing else, at least everything will be sitting in there assembled.
Right.
We'll figure out what to go do from there.
That works for me. I'm glad things are going good for you.
Yeah, that's I said, it's a lot of work. We've had a lot of good people. A couple of kids have dropped out, so we've had change of people in and out. But overall, like I said, the backyard
not for everybody.
Nah. Well, and then we got some things lined up for next year already too. So the things that one of the bars that sold back when we opened the shop in April. That 67, we're just now when the ICE vehicle leaves, when the Mercedes is done, we're bringing that convertible in to do that Eleanor conversion to it. So,
nice.
It should turn out like a fairly nice looking car.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be really nice.
Shelf there.
That's right.
I hit myself like 3 times on it.
No, I've got my grandson, so we're watching cartoons too.
There you go. Yeah. Well, so you guys will be over. So you gonna come over Friday?
Yeah, I'll be in Friday.
Okay, cool.
Just kind of want to do some service work with you and bullshit and sit around the day, but not hold you up, but kind of help your progress out if I can.
Oh no, I'll probably have you helping me climb around this thing and bend lines or do whatever we got to have it. So hopefully Wednesday, if it's painted on Wednesday. When I met Chip Foose a couple of weeks ago, he's like, it's hard to build a car in 8 days. I'm like, yeah, I know. I mean, at least my frame and my suspension are done, but I've got 5 days to paint and build an entire vehicle.
Sir.
The task is no less daunting. So I started on wiring today. I've got it laid out. I think I know exactly what to do. We separated what we don't need. I still gotta find if I can find in the time for functioning turn signals and headlights and working everything else. So it's nothing I haven't done before. It's just a bunch of little tasks that I learned years ago to do. I just did them over all the different holidays differently, I think. So it's cool to bring it all together once. So, all right, Bubba, I'm going to get out.
All right. You have a good night, man.
Yeah, man. Hold on. Let me let you go like this. Lord, I thank you for my friends. I thank you for those who showed up. I thank you for those who will listen. God, we ask that you just take each one of these opportunities and let yourself be lifted up and praised and glorified. Father, we thank you that you love even the less of people that we all may feel that we are sometimes. But God, we know that you came and died and was born at this time. Maybe not just this time of year, but the time that we remember this year. What it ultimately was is that you would come as a virgin baby birth and you would die upon a cross just to be raised for our sins. And we thank you for that and everything you've done for us that we can endure the temporary pain of today. So we have an eternal future. In Jesus' name I pray. May you be blessed, brother. I love you.
Amen. Yeah, man. You too, man. Have a good night.
See ya. And that should end the broadcast.